Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in Russia for the first bilateral meeting since 2019. Now, ties between India and China had taken a severe hit since the military standoff in Ladakh as a result of Beijing's actions of violating line of actual control. Now, this is the de facto boundary between both the countries and is said to be yet earmarked. The bilateral talks between Prime Minister Modi and Xi took place on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in the city of Kazan in Russia. It happened less than 72 hours after a breakthrough in talks, both at the diplomatic and military levels, ensuring that the status quo returns to what it was before May 2020, when the standoff in Ladakh began with the military clash in Galwan. The breakthrough is patrolling arrangement comes 4 years after the Galwan Valley clash and signals a move towards de-escalation in a region where both countries stationed tens of thousands of troops. Now, the meeting in fact ensured that the upturn in India-China relations following a consensus on patrolling arrangement along the line of actual control that have faced multiple hiccups over the last few years. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Prime Minister Modi, and let's listen into how India-China bilateral overshadowed the entire summit.
First and foremost, the Chinese president, he himself said the entire world had their eyes glued onto this bilateral. What was it like there in Kazan? Were you all waiting for this bilateral to take place as well? What were you expecting and hoping,
Absolutely.
and what finally came out of it?
Right. So I think the big story really from Kazan, which has overshadowed the BRICS summit in a way, at least from India's point of view, is this bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The first meeting since the Galwan crisis. And now this meeting marks the talks that happened today, marks a new beginning in India-China relations. I think the messaging was very clear. I think the ground was prepared by, Foreign Secretary who announced that the patrolling arrangement deal has been done and disengagement of troops from the remaining friction points in Depsang and Demchok. All that has been done. And now we know that this is not just a spin, but this has been affirmed at the highest level by both leaders. So it's a huge development. What it means is that this also marks the revival of the dialogue process, which is frozen after the Galwan crisis, Galwan conflict. Now, what the revival of the dialogue process means is that, before the Galwan thing, India and China used to have at least 20 bilateral dialogue mechanisms, and they're completely frozen. So now they have prepared a sort of roadmap. Now, among the important highlights of the roadmap that has been agreed upon by the two leaders, number one is, of course, maintenance of peace and tranquility on the border will top the agenda. And for this, the two leaders instructed special representatives of the two sides who are in charge of the boundary question to meet as early as possible and focus on taking a long strategic view and resolve the boundary issue. So this is a very big thing, that confidence building measures there will be to ensure that the agreement arrived at today will be honored in word as well as deed. The second thing is that other dialogue mechanisms will also be revived. For now, we know that the dialogue mechanism between the foreign ministers of the two countries will be revived, and the two leaders have instructed meeting the two foreign ministers to meet as well in the near future. And although this has not been spelled out in fine print, but I assume that there will also be dedicated dialogue on economic issues,